Hey team, we are on our linear measure, day 2. This time we're going to focus on the distance formula. Pretty basic. You're going to be able to find the distance on a number line between 2 points. And then you're also going to apply the distance formula on the coordinate system. You may or may not know what the distance formula is, but we'll find out quick. Okay. So let's fill in some of these blanks here. Distance is the length of a segment between its endpoints. How long is it? That's what you're figuring out. It's distance. The coordinates of the points can be used to find this length. So we'll do it both ways. We'll use ordered pairs and also just on a number line. So these first ones are very straightforward. So it says use the number line to find each distance. There we go. So again, we just count. Just like you probably did in elementary school, we just count the spaces. So from D to E, how many spaces are between there? 1, 2, 3, 4. The length of DE is 4. AD, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then lastly, BE. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Right, nothing fancy there. Just counting the spaces between our endpoints. So you may or may not have used the Pythagorean theorem before. The Pythagorean theorem is used in right triangles to find missing side lengths. I think you would have maybe went over this in 7th grade, possibly. I don't know. You know, COVID, you guys you might have learned it, might not have. It's hard to say, but I'll give you a quick refresher. It's not difficult. This is the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. And the most important thing that you need to remember with the Pythagorean theorem is your c value is your longest side of your right triangle, which is what we call the hypotenuse. So right now you're probably like, what triangle is she talking about? Well, we can draw one in. You guys see how I just created a right triangle here? Here would be my right angle. And now this problem becomes very easy. So from G to this right angle is 2 blocks, right? And then from the right angle up to H would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're looking for the length of GH. So I'm going to call it X. And your hypotenuse is always across from that right angle. So X is my hypotenuse. So that's our C value. And now the other two, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B. So I'm just going to plug them in. 2 squared plus 6 squared equals X squared. And now we just solve. So 2 squared is 4. 6 squared is 36 equals X squared. Add those together, we get 40. And now, again, it's been a while since you've probably done some algebra, right? How do you undo something squared? Well, you take the square root. And the square root of 40 is about 6.3. So that's one way to find the distance of a segment. Some of you might really like that, and some of you may not. That's one way. And it's easy sometimes when you have a picture like this, but you won't always have a picture to go off of a graph, right? Sometimes we're just going to give you the ordered pairs. So that's why someone much smarter than you and I came up with the distance formula. Here's the distance formula. Take a second to write it down correctly and make sure you write it down correctly. And we use the distance formula to find the distance between 2 points with the ordered pairs x1, y1, x2, y2. So like this is your first ordered pair and here's your second. And then you just plug in. So you take your x coordinates and subtract them. Then you take your y coordinates and subtract them. Whatever you get for those answers, you square it, add them together, and then we'll take the square root. I know I just said a lot of words and didn't do much, but it'll make sense once we try a problem. The hardest part in this problem is just plugging in the numbers where they're supposed to go. Then after that, it's just algebra. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next slide. So find the distance between C and D, which I can't even see. There we go. Okay, so until you get the hang of it, I think it's helpful if you labeled your ordered pairs. So remember I said you have a first ordered pair and a second one. So I'm going to label this x1, y1, because remember, each ordered pair gets an x and a y. And this is your x2, y2. And now we plug in. So drop down your big square root. Our x2 we labeled as 5, minus our x1, which is negative 4. Now I'm just copying down the formula how I see it. Our y2 is negative 1, minus our y1 of negative 6. And again, then I copy down how I saw the rest of the problem, or my formula. Now again, now we just gemdas our way out of this. So first we have to take care of our parentheses, right? So 5 minus negative 4 is really like adding, so we're going to get 9 squared plus negative 1 minus negative 6 is really like adding, so that would be 5. Now we keep simplifying. 9 times 9 is 81. 5 times 5 is 25. Just a pro tip, you guys, you'll never get a negative number under your radical, right? Because even if this is a negative 9 here, a negative times a negative is still going to be positive. So these two numbers here and here will always be positive no matter what. Okay, and then we add those together, 81 plus 25, 106. And now you can take the square root of 106, and we should get about 10.3. So CD is approximately 10.3. Again, please excuse my board, you guys. Okay, let's try one more, okay? Same process, just different numbers. We are finding the distance between E and D. So again, I'm going to label my points. X1, Y1, X2, Y2. Then we'll plug in. Our x2 we labeled as 8 minus our x1 of negative 5 squared. Our y2, negative 4 minus our y1 of 6 squared. Now we just algebra our way out of this. 8 minus a negative 5 would really be like adding, so we're going to get 13 squared. Negative 4 minus 6 would be negative 10 squared. 13 times 13 is 169. Negative 10 times a negative 10 is 100. Add those two together, and we should get 269. If you take the square root of 269, you should get 16.4. So again, ED, its length is about 16.4. And we will save that last one for class, okay? Thank you for tuning in and doing your part. This makes class so much easier. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in class.